Hi guys, welcome to the Craft Beer channel. Today I'm here with Chris Hall of chrishallbeer.com. That name took you ages, didn't it?
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, yeah, figures. Why am I with Chris Hall? Very simple reason. Chris Hall came up with the term juicy banger, which we overuse and Twitter overuses, but it's got a very important meaning. What is that other than a really good British sausage?
Well, a juicy banger, I see it as a really well-made local beer that has a pronounced hoppy character to it, but one that is in a pronounced way juicy, either tropical fruits or citrus or something that you might not normally expecting, but it makes the beer, regardless of its strength, really easy to drink and more importantly really enjoyable.
So what we've done is we've collected 4 beers that we believe are juicy bangers, but what we want to kind of show you guys is that this style goes across all the other styles we've ever had. It's not just IPAs, like the grapefruit IPA we brewed at Camden when Chris first featured in perhaps the silliest video we've ever done on the Craft Beer channel. You can click on Chris's face if you want to see that, because that's a silly face too. But let's crack on. We'll explain the beers as we go.
Right, so our first beer is the 1109 Session IPA from Brew by Numbers. With,
now you work for Brew by Numbers, and that's why you chose it.
I do work for one of Bermondsey's most celebrated breweries, Brew by Numbers, yes, but frankly it'd be crazy not to include a Session IPA, and indeed this one in this selection. It's something that people often mistake for simply being either a hopped up pale ale or a kind of dumbed down IPA, but really with any kind of IPA you're talking about a balance of flavours, and that means dealing with strength, hop bitterness, but also hop flavour and aroma. And if you reduce the strength, it means that you need to kind of compensate for those flavours in other areas. So
that is really juicy.
So this uses Motueka and Citra. So that's Motueka from New Zealand and Citra, which is a sort of super cascade hop. Motueka's got this really kind of lemony, almost tropical fruit kind of edge to it, and when it interacts with Citra, I think it brings out the kind of more mango kind of like edges to what Citra can
do. It's got loads of mango and a little bit of papaya, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what it misses from an IPA is that massive smack at the end. Instead, it just sits there on your tongue and just slips away in a really pleasant, really refreshing way.
So next we have the Siren Calypso, which is a dry hopped Berliner Weiss, a style which is a very light, low strength, crisp, sour wheat beer. And this is, it's like the best of both worlds. We're taking, something which is like, might be inaccessible to some people, but people are into hoppy beers, people are starting to get into sour now, and I think this is a really accessible way to get into it.
Yeah, and so Siren, they change the hops in this with every batch. This is batch 377, correct, I believe, which means mosaic.
It's a super soldier of like hops. It's a complete hybrid variety. When you put it into a beer like this, it's total chaos. But this is a beer that's kind of chaos to start with, because it's already soured and slightly crazy. I think it works pretty well.
I think together the dankness and the sourness. God, that sounds unappetizing, doesn't it? But I'm pretty sure this is going to be delicious.
It is. It absolutely coats the palate. A really good sour beer should like work all the way around. It's like it almost wants to like climb into your teeth. It's like it's filling your entire mouth with refreshment.
Yeah, it's getting right up in your gums,
totally.
in those gaps. So our third juicy banger is by one of my favourite breweries, Lervig. It is a wit beer, so traditionally brewed with coriander and curacao orange peel. But then it's hopped with Centennial, Citra, and another hop that's written on the bottle.
Amarillo.
Amarillo, he says. Okay, so orange peel. Amarillo's very orangey. Centennial, bit of grassiness, that might go with the coriander.
Absolutely.
And then Citra, just
Yeah, it definitely does smell halfway between an IPA and a wit. Actually, it's not a Weiss beer like super banana esteriness. It's got that kind of a more subtle orangey spiciness.
It's wittier than I thought. You get not like Chris.
Wow, really smooth and neat, quite clever. I like that.
And it's got a lovely IPA finish.
Yeah, they're not really arguing with each other. That does really work.
Yeah, they've said wit beers are great, but they can be a little bit thin on the aroma and a little bit thin on the feel and the finish. And what they've done is use hops to change that.
I don't see Juicy Banger as a style in itself. I see it as a kind of an approach or a kind of statement of intent. It's like saying you're going to take what other people have used as traditional styles before that were in a box, and you can go outside that box. And so let's colour outside the lines for a bit. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what colours we have, and let's see where we can take the flavours and see what we can do with them.
So IHL, in my opinion, one of the best lagers in the world, but so far removed from what people think a lager is. That doesn't really mean anything. I think that's the joy of it. It proves that lager is just a yeast, mate. What you do with it makes the beer, really. All you end up with a lager yeast is a really clean beer. I don't know why I've got my bottle opener, because it's a can.
That's the beauty of it.
But anyway, enough of this technical jargon. I want to stick my face in this.
It's a combination of American hops here, but it's really all about supercharging that aroma. So it's absolutely bursting with like lime and grapefruit.
I mean, yeah, lime is a really big thing in that, which is it's not a taste note you often get with a beer.
Yeah.
But everything is just, it's like in HD.
Yeah, I mean, it really is difficult to believe it's a lager in some ways. This is all about making as pale a beer as possible and just like injecting it with as much kind of like juice from the hop character as you can. It's very, very technically accomplished. Yeah,
I mean, to some extent I agree that it's difficult to believe it's a lager, but also I think people divide up the tongue in those flavour pads, which is complete horseshit, by the way. Yep. But in this, it feels like the lager goes down the middle, and then you get hops, like a hamster, like a hop hamster. You're just like, and the side of your mouth is just puckering with all of this bitterness, all of this juice, all of this citrus acid. It's the kind of beer that doesn't say, I just want to drink this fast. It's the kind of beer that says, if I can drink it fast, great, but what I want is for a party in my mouth.
Yeah, we're living in an era of flavour-driven beer. We can, attribute any kind of labels to them that we want, but people are saying right now that they want as much flavour as they can get in whatever style they have. And that is not at all to do with disrespecting tradition. It's about celebrating it and showing that it's just a starting point for even more beer styles, because that's what we want, is even more beers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, cheers. Cheers to the Stag for hosting us. Cheers to Hops for existing. Cheers to these 4 fantastic brewers who all know how to bring a relatively old school style right up to date for us trendies. And thanks for joining us, Chris. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Thank you.